MetaWine. I am Walter Clements, MetaWine's founder, CEO, and the assistant customer service manager. We are a new kind of wine company in the United States, a winery based here in Chicago. And we do all the same things that every winery does, we just do them all differently, and we do them more efficiently and more sustainably. From the production to the supply chain to the marketing and sales of wine, our efficiencies mean that we can sell wine of a higher quality at a lower price. Starting with the production, good news, we are not making wine with Chicago grapes. In fact, I'm not making wine at all in the traditional sense, because if I tried to, I'd be telling you about a vinegar business or possibly a poison business. So we work with a network of winemakers around the world who are located in the regions where the wine grapes are grown, who make the wine then fresh for us with the fresh grape juice, according to our specification. And then we manage the supply chain from that winery to our winery, and in doing so, drive great efficiencies into the process. One of the reasons why wine is so expensive in the United States is as wine goes from the vine to the glass, there's maybe a dozen people taking margin along the way, having a multiplicative effect on pricing, which is why wine's so expensive, and I decided to cut that nonsense out. So when we bring the wine to market ourselves, we're able to deliver wine of a higher quality, share the benefits with our customers, and pay the suppliers, our winemakers, more for the wine itself than they would get if they would incur the traditional costs associated with bringing wine to market. So this is a former ice house, this building. It's got 30-foot ceilings in part. It's old Chicago brick and first growth timber. Ice houses had to be constructed as very tall buildings because heat rises, and if you've got a low ceiling ice house, you're probably going to have an indoor swim school before you know it. And so we took possession of the building in November 2019, just before COVID hit, which is why you see it in its fairly unfinished state. We're just in the process now of building it out into full form as a winery, a wine tasting room. We're going to be able to host events, which will be sort of private events, corporate events, and then we'll do some ticketed performances. We plan to have a PPA licensed public place of amusement. We'll be very good neighbors in that whole process, by the way. And then we'll come take a look at what's going to end up being the winery production area. So this will be our winery production area. This wall right here is about 130 feet long. It's going to be lined with 2,000 liter tanks, brushed stainless steel wine tanks, the same types of tanks that the wine is made in, which have this sort of really nice minimal kind of industrial look to them. And then there will be in this front window here, there will be shop glass, which will allow natural light to come in, which will play nicely bouncing against the stainless steel tanks, and then juxtaposed with the old Chicago brick and the first growth timber. Really cool visual presentation juxtaposition of different types of materials. Our winery production really involves taking finished wine as the varietal wine itself, and then doing some sort of packaging, custom labeling. We also do blending, and that's the extent of our winery operation at present. We're not fermenting, we're not crushing grapes or fermenting juice or anything like that. That may happen in the future. And then we'll have some larger tanks back in this area, which will be for the sort of usual suspect varietals, of which we're going to be buying larger quantities like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and that sort of thing. And we'll have in some of these other tanks, the smaller quantities, some really exciting wine discoveries from all over the world. Particularly Italian wines that don't often make it to the Chicago market. Really fun, like white wines like Falanghina and Fiano and Friulano, and I just call them the F wines. So, and then there will be a floor drain along here to take care of all the mess that we're going to plan to make. And then when this room is not being used as a winery facility, this will be sort of the entrance for what will eventually be an event space where people can come in, and this will be the reception area where we've got high top tables and bars and that sort of thing. Think of it as suitable for a pretty large scale wedding. And then guests will come into the main room, which is just nothing short of magnificent. It's got about 25-foot ceilings. It's got beautiful natural light coming through it. And we're just going to leave this room as a big empty room for events and When events are not taking place, we hope to utilize it as sort of a rec room for the neighborhood so that people can come, and we've got ping pong and bags and giant Jenga and who knows what kind of chicanery is going to be filling up this room. But everyone knows that Chicago, if you've got kids in Chicago, there's not a whole lot to do during the winter, so we hope to alleviate some of that pressure, get them off those screens and get them into good old Meadow Wine. Which will, by the way, will also serve non-alcoholic beverages. We'll have beer, we'll have kombucha, we'll have coffee, we'll have craft cocktails, so selection of beverages beyond just wine, including non-alcoholic. Now we'll go to what's going to be the coolest tasting room experience in. So this will be our tasting room, which will really be a unique kind of experience for consumers, something that nobody's ever done before. So it'll operate kind of like a wine bar. I'll call it maybe a wine cafe because I'm a little bit more of a laid-back person that can handle a wine bar atmosphere, but maybe a craft brewery for wine is how it will feel. And you can come in the door and you can sit down, maybe we'll have a bar over there, and you can have a glass of wine, whatever you want, or we'll have some low-top tables. We'll also have packaged goods here in the front. That's the plan, where you can come and grab a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc and bring it to your friends, barbecue or whatever you want. But then what's really neat and unique and special about what we're planning is there will be a host stand here, and the host will give you, in exchange for your credit card, they'll give you a sort of a payment card and explain to you how you can make your own wine blend, and you can serve yourself off a draft system that's going to be on the wall over here. So we'll have a draft system of taps that dispenses all the different varietals of wine that we plan to carry, as well as I mentioned, beer and kombucha and craft cocktails and whatever. And but what we'll have is we'll have tables set up here where you can actually create your own wine, and you can make your own wine blend. And what that means is the host will bring you over and they'll spread out a butcher paper on the table and give you some graduated cylinders and some pipettes and a little bit of education about what some of the world's great wine blends are. Because Chicago is a great foodie town and we love to get our drink on, but most Chicagoans don't know that, for example, Bordeaux is a blend. They think of Bordeaux as red French wine, which it is, but don't know that it's a blend of 5 different wine varietals. And then there's no shame in knowing that. We empower people with this information. And that Chianti's a blend, and Super Tuscan, and Côte d'Aron, and Rioja, and all these wines are blends. We'll have the constituent varietals of each of those blends as the varietal itself, really great representations of that varietal, and then give you a little bit more guidance as to what your blend could look like. So, different strokes for different folks. And what kind of wine do you like? Do you like wine that's sweeter or drier? Do you want a red? Do you want a white? What's for dinner? How's your day? What color's the sky in your world? We just do all these types of questions to help people feel empowered to make the wine that's most suitable to what they're doing. And they say, oh, Walter, we're going to have a barbecue tonight. And I say, let's do a Bordeaux blend. So we'll give you the 5 Bordeaux varietals, and then you can taste each one sip by sip, back to back, and notice how markedly different each one is from the other when you taste sip by sip. The differences really come out. And you can say, okay, well, I think this is good, so we'll make this the backbone, and we'll give it a little bit of fruitiness with this, some herbaceousness with this, some minerality with this, and this has got some nice peppery notes, and start playing around with the different formulas with the graduated cylinder where you're doing the reading with the formula, so you're understanding what you're making there. And when you've arrived at a blend that you find superior to every other wine that you've iterated through, you can say, Walter, it was a left bank style Bordeaux, 67% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot, and 3% Cab Franc. And then you'll be able to go to the tap wall and actually make that for yourself in a bottle where you'll have an automatic dispensing where you input the size of the volume of the container, which in most cases will be 750 milliliter wine bottle, and then you put in 67% Cabernet Sauvignon, and out comes 67% of 750 milliliters of Cabernet Sauvignon. Then you go to the Merlot, 30%, Cab Franc, 3%, and what that allows you to do is manufacture, concoct the exact same blend every single time. So that is your signature wine that you're going to get every time according to your specification. And then you'll go to your table with your friends that you've been blending and having a great time with. It's a very social, interactive, creative experience. And you can make a label. So you'll have a label template on your app, label app on your phone, label template app on your phone. And you can take a selfie or upload a picture of your cat or a line drawing of a French chateau and give the wine a name. Call it Mr. Boots Bordeaux. And print up a label on a high quality label printer, slap a label on the bottle, sink a cork into the bottle, and you become a winemaker that day. And so that ends up being what's truly unique about Meadow Wine and really sort of the foundation and the core of our entire brand concept. And then you'll also be able to have that the blend and the label stored in our database, so that you don't have to come here every single time and do it. We can do it for you. We can do it as a delivery or subscription model, or ready for pickup, or whatever you want, so that you can consistently offer the wine that you've created with your brand and your cat on the label, to offer as to your guests, or to bring to parties, or give as gifts, or whatever you want. So that's going to be what's in store for 4300 West Montrose at good old Devon.